Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today's the 22nd of September, 2019. It's a Sunday. You know what Sunday means? We're going around the world, baby. We have a lot to talk about. I'm kind of excited. Do we get to talk about the Rose Garden and even though it's kind of like USA News with the Australian Prime Minister?
I have none of that up.
Oh, darn. Okay, so I can just tell you that we hosted, see how it's like at our house, the Australian Prime Minister in the Rose Garden, and Patriot Gallery was saying that there were like actual fire lanterns and it was really beautiful and wonderful so I'm super excited about
I think we covered a couple clips on Friday because he was being asked by reporters to comment on the Ukrainian story, and he was there with Scott
But
Morrison.
we didn't talk about the pomp, and we can do pomp and ceremony.
Looks
here
like
in
the United States has asked Australia to go to the moon and back. So Australia will invest $150 million in its companies and technology to help Donald Trump's bid for moon landing.
You're kidding.
By 2024.
Wow. I feel like you're like
US,
taller than me. I want my chair to
missions to Mars. So
what
Scott
about
Morrison
the Space
says
Force?
We're going to go to Mars together.
Oh my gosh.
So Morrison visited NASA headquarters in Washington.
Hilarious.
Said the 5-year investment plan would help businesses support U.S. automation systems, build equipment for spacecraft, and play a role in mineral exploration.
Okay.
Like up there or down here? We're backing Australian businesses to the moon and even to Mars and back, he says. So, we had, the investment is part of a broader Australian plan to beef up its space sector, with Morrison saying the government wants to triple the size of the sector to $12 billion and create 20,000 extra jobs by 2030. The moon is actually a launching pad. You know what?
So I'm going to show them some pictures here if I can get these to get big for me of the actual beautiful.
Okay.
See how pretty? Keep going.
Yeah, there was actually some more. There was like
There's
fire
that's
and lanterns.
like that's what Patriot Gallery was talking about right here.
It was really pretty.
How beautiful! I didn't mean to do that. There's a video. We don't want the video.
Well, it might be pretty. I just want to talk to you people for a second about using Mars as some sort of launching craft for using the moon as a launch craft for Mars.
Okay.
I don't believe that this is a good idea. Because if you mess it up, like the moon, if you mess up the moon, then we all die. Because like it controls the tides and washes really the oceans, and
it's not gonna work.
Listen, so please, I just have a fear that we're gonna go to the moon.
Okay.
And we're gonna like pollute it. There's no,
I know, right?
We're gonna
because,
make a mess of it.
But here's the thing, because we're
destroy
already
it. We're
polluting the outer. We're already polluting outer space. They're already like launching like trash.
Like
and
we
stuff.
need light, right, from the moon too. Like it reflects the light from the sun, reflects off the moon. So if you got a lot of people on there, you're gonna have like the man in the moon, and then you're gonna see him have like a couple eyeballs. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna black things out. You're gonna too much. Please don't go to the moon. Please, like if you're gonna go, hop on and then hop back off, but recognize that like. It's a dainty object up there in space, and please don't mess with it. I'm afraid they're gonna knock it out of orbit or do something.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you.
All right. Speaking of being in agreement, let's go straight to our top story here, where Rees Mogg, whatever. No, you didn't let me finish my sentence.
Okay, like we were gonna do like a apostrophe
Plural.
S.
I could have.
Okay,
you didn't let me try.
I'm sorry.
Rees Mogg's recent statements on Nigel Farage.
Yeah.
And the Brexit party. Now, his sister, Anastasia,
Isn't it just Anastasia?
No, it's not. Anastasia. I don't know. It's just Annie. Can we call her Annie?
That's nice.
Annie Rees Mogg.
Jacob and Annie. That goes better.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
So, so his sister's in the Brexit party with Nigel.
Right.
And
she's a representative.
Rees Mogg appreciates the Brexit party, but he had some strong words today. In the past, so I have this is one article here from the 19th. that says Jacob Rees-Mogg has lavish praise on Nigel Farage and claimed Brexiteers owe him a great debt. The leading Tory Eurosceptic offered an olive branch to Mr. Farage just days after Number 10 dismissed his offer of an electoral pact and branded him not a fit and proper person. That's what Boris said, and he's, my hair's totally crazy.
Yeah, right. Love his hair.
Rees-Mogg told a Telegraph Live event in central London last night, so the 18th, that Brexiteers owe him a great debt for his long-standing campaign against the EU. The praise was seen as an attempt to encourage Brexiteers to come back to the Conservatives after huge swaths of Tory voters backed Mr. Farage's resurgent party at the European elections in May. But firing an early election campaign salvo, the cabinet minister urged Brexiteers to think carefully before voting for the Brexit party. So here's some shots fired a little bit. So each person's trying to, rein each other in, and he said a vote for the Brexit party in the looming election is a vote effectively for Jeremy Corbyn. So that's what Rees-Mogg says. A leading Brexiteer also offered an olive branch to Mr. Farage just days after Number 10 dismissed his offer of an electoral pact and branded him not a fit and proper person. Mr. Rees-Mogg told the Telegraph... Wait. Are
you repeating yourself?
I don't know. No, there's more. They're repeating themselves. Let's see. He goes, Rees-Mogg says, what do the Brexit party want? The thing and that is Brexit. One thing is that is Brexit. We now have a Conservative leader who shares their attachment to their importance of that one issue. I absolutely know Conservative activists that voted for the Brexit party in swaths in the May election. 72% of Conservative voters voted for the Brexit party. Why? Because they felt let down and we hadn't delivered Brexit. I absolutely know Conservative activists who voted for Brexit party. So he says we must deliver Brexit. At the same time, Rees-Mogg said the Prime Minister is close to offering the expelled Tory Remainer rebels back into the party. He suggested they would be let back in if they vote for the government's Queen's speech next month. The PM withdrew the Tory whip from 21 rebels when they backed the Bean Bill to delay Brexit beyond October 31st if a deal hasn't passed. So Rees-Mogg says it is human to err, it is divine to forgive, and the Prime Minister is very close to being divine, I think. We'll see.
Okay.
Sam Gimna has since joined the Lib Dems, but Rees-Mogg said there was a way for back for the other 20, which include Sir Winston Churchill's grandson, Sir Nicholas Stamos, and 2 former chancellors. Asked if they would be offered a way back to the party, Rees-Mogg told the Telegraph event last night. And so anyways, so here you have this going on. Nigel Farage says, and I love the picture Michelle put together.
I cartoonized it, actually, and put Boris and the Queen on it, too.
But Mr. Farage has sent a Brexit party warning to Rees-Mogg, urging him to heap pressure on the Prime Minister to form an electoral pact with the Brexit party. Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage warned the House of Commons leader Rees-Mogg his optimism Brexit will happen on the 31st was premature. He said that Rees-Mogg's claim a vote for the Brexit Party would be a vote ultimately for Jeremy Corbyn was nonsense. His remarks came after Rees-Mogg. I told you, we have Rees-Mogg saying, "Hey, if you..." And here's the thing: the elections haven't even been put forward yet.
Right.
So nobody's really set in stone. I think that everybody's kind of playing their hands, playing up the builders. They're seeing where everybody's at right now. You know what I mean? And Nigel is he's doing a really good job by kind of walking this line here, I think, where he's got to play nice and be nice to Boris, even though Boris is being boorish, and Rees-Mogg is trying to walk that line as well. I mean, he is the effectively the second guy to Boris, so he's got to walk this fine line as well between Nigel and Boris. So you can see how this is going to play out, but Nigel's not going anywhere. Mr. Farage insisted a pact with the Brexit party is the best solution to the Tories' problem.
It is, and I think that what is happening is they're, like you said they're playing their hand. That's not what you meant. That's laying it all out there. I think what you mean is they're just kind of testing the waters, kind of see what's going on, and I think everybody's playing it safe, and when it really boils down to it in the end, I believe that if it takes a pact with the Brexit party, which it's going to. That's what Boris will do.
Nigel says, I know Rees Mogg would like me to simply rejoin his party, but I could never do this if the government of which he is a member pursues the withdrawal agreement. Over the years, I've heard it said countless times by political commentators and MPs that the UKIP or Brexit party Fox has been shot. I want to caution people like Rees Mogg from making the same mistake. The Brexit party is not going to just disappear because the Tories want it to do so. Now remember, you have to understand, there are so many areas that voted Leave that are hard labor, and they're never going to vote for a Tory.
Right. But they will vote Brexit.
Exactly. And so what's very interesting here is Rees Mogg has the ability to actually bring in more to the Tory party. In my opinion, I don't think the Brexit party will be around forever, and so by doing so, you're actually going to bring these people in, and then they will be then swallowed up into the two main parties.
Now, that's not Nigel. What Nigel is telling everybody is that's not what he wants to happen. He would like the Brexit party to become its own and to take over and to morph. And actually, I mean, we don't really know that won't happen, only because we've seen the parties kind of, in the UK specifically over the years, morph and fold over a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
And what's playing out, I guess the 18th, Boris is going or coming back, and he's going to go with the deal or come back with the deal. And he, I have some, without further ado, I'm just going to let you hear.
So he's going to go to the EU, is what you're saying. And he's either going to come back with a deal or he's not.
Yeah. So let's go over here. Let's start with this, a little bit of Nigel's speech here at the Newport rally. We're going to turn this on. We've got an Ann Wincombe speech. We've got we've got a lot going on today, so I just want you guys to hang on. Let's start with some of these smaller ones. Here's Nigel. In his latest from the European Parliament, which his speeches are always epic and were worth watching.
One thing is clear.
We'll wait until our little speaker turns on. Pairing.
Is your Bluetooth proper?
It might not be on because you needed me to turn it off the other day.
That's what happened. Technical. This is why you guys come to our show, because you want things that are real and you don't want fake news.
Oh, yeah, I have to do my whole setting control panel because I literally turned it off.
Well, my speaker was connecting to hers, and I was trying to listen to Eric Mathis' sermon, and so, which I'm going to stream later today. I need to pick a time. I'll pick a time in my mind before we finish the show and let you know. I'm going to do it live later today.
I think it's clear, and that is from the emollient tone we've heard this morning from Juncker and Barnier. We're actually very close to a deal on the backstop being agreed at the summit on the 17th of October. And of course, both sides will try and present this as a negotiating victory. Maybe worth reminding ourselves that this treaty, even without the backstop, is a very bad deal for Britain. It'll leave us trapped inside European Union rules. It'll leave us under the auspices of the European Court. And having given everything away in the withdrawal agreement, the worst part is that any future relationship relies on good faith. We put ourselves entirely in your hands. We put ourselves, indeed, at your mercy. And I would suggest that events that we've seen across Europe this week do not indicate that good faith exists. I'm, of course, referring to the pipsqueak Prime Minister of Luxembourg, who set out to ritually humiliate a British Prime Minister in the most astonishing way, only to be greeted like a hero by President Macron at the Élysée Palace yesterday. And it's very clear to me that keeping us trapped inside this was the objective of Barnier's from the start, to keep us inside, and you said it this morning, to keep us inside the customs union. And we've seen from other speakers today, the fear is that the UK breaks out of the customs union, breaks out of single market rules, and we become more competitive, and we become much wealthier outside the European Union than within it. Mr. Verhofstadt, we want no part of your European empire. The only way forward now to deliver on the referendum is for a clean break Brexit. Once we've done that, we'll have a grown-up conversation about trade and about the way forward. Thank you.
Hey, here.
He's spot on. They're just afraid. They're just afraid that the UK is actually, and that's like what they accuse you of is what they're guilty of. So what they're afraid of is that actually Nigel is right, and that the Brexit will be awesome, and it will really kind of take the power away from the EU. They're not, listen, the EU does not care about the UK.
Right.
They're not like, oh, we want to keep you in because it'll be better for you.
No, it's all about money.
Can I just say that Lord Adonis is a dishonest, disconnected, twisting little weasel, and if that's what the House of Lords is all about, the next big change is to have a referendum to sack the lot of them. He is being entirely dishonest, disingenuous. He doesn't accept the result. He is part of the global elite, clearly in the pockets of the big multinational businesses. He treats ordinary working men and women in Britain with total and utter contempt, and all I can say is thank God for the common sense of ordinary people who can see straight through him.
So, yeah, that was talking about the House of Lords there. And let's see, here's another one. Are you about to get a Brexit stitch-up? Nigel Farage reveals why the EU does not want the UK to leave.
We are inches away.
And this is one of the new Brexit Party little TV shows that they've started.
Right. So this guy is an MEP.
Yeah.
A member of the European Parliament, a representative of the Brexit Party.
Yeah, exactly. And I love these little vignettes that they're putting
From
out.
an agreement being struck on the night of the 17th, 18th of October in Brussels at the next European Summit, where Boris comes back from Brussels with an agreement on the backstop, and he stands at an airport somewhere and waves a piece of paper and says we've got a great deal, and tries to push it through Parliament. And my speech today was to try to say to people, look, all this focus, all this attention on the backstop, actually, take the backstop out, it's still the worst deal in history. Take the backstop out, and here's the real problem. The real problem is that any future relationship is based on their goodwill.
Absolutely.
We are completely in their hands, and Barnier let the cat out of the bag. Because he said, when he talked about the political declaration and the way forward, if this was passed, that I hope and believe it will be based on the customs union.
Yes.
And it's been my view, and I went to meet him a couple of years ago, and we're going to get a witness report, I know, here on Brexit from somebody who met him yesterday. But my view, after that first meeting with Barnier 2 years ago, was he had one intention, and that was to keep us inside the single market.
So on YouTube, Robert Goddard says the European Union takeover is the UK's defense and intelligence capabilities by stealth. Can't share the link, but it's on YouTube. Stuart the Brit says if you check how many companies are setting up and resettling into Britain and all the new money coming into this country, it's bloody huge and increasing. Let's see, there was one from Britt Baza. Michelle, the EU doesn't care one jot about the UK. The reason why is throughout history we've been at war with all of them and won. They hate us. That's right. All of you very strongly opinionated people from the UK.
Well, here's another strong opinion. Clean Brexit only.
Proper Brexit. You know, we've got Labour Party, Liberal Democrats, many others doing their utmost to stop Brexit, using every technique they can to overturn the referendum of 3.5 years ago. A Conservative Party, new leader, Boris Johnson, who says he's going to deliver Brexit, but it seems now he wants to reheat Mrs May's deal that failed 3 times in Parliament and had very little support in the country. You know, and if we leave with a new European treaty that is Brexit in name only, that would be a complete sellout and betrayal. What we're saying is simple. We need to leave on the 31st of October with a clean break.
You talk about a clean break. In the run-up to the referendum, you talked a lot about Norway. You described them as rich, self-governing, happy. It's okay for you to change your mind on these things, but how can you be sure that Leave voters have also changed their mind?
No, I said Norway can catch their own fish. Under this withdrawal agreement.
You also said they were rich, happy and self-governing.
Yeah, and they were, absolutely, and in a far better place than we are.
So could we be with a Norway-style Brexit?
No, because this is not that. This is far worse than that. We are paying £39 billion to leave the European Union in name only, to still be governed by all their laws, to have no say over how those laws are made.
Would you accept a Norway-style Brexit now?
No, of course not. I said in the referendum, if you remember in the last couple of weeks, no deal is better than a bad deal, right? I want to leave with a good deal. What's being offered is a bad deal. Therefore, let's leave with a clean break Brexit. Let's go. I think we're all sick to death of this going on. All these shenanigans in Parliament, our country being reduced to a laughingstock on the world stage. Let's leave with a clean break. And you know what? We can then get on with the rest of our lives.
People might say you're a bit of a one-issue party. What else do you have to offer people of the North West?
This is the biggest defining issue in this country for hundreds of years.
Have anything else to offer?
Are we to be? We have pioneered the idea of infrastructure spending over the north of England. We can cut the foreign aid budget by half, get rid of ludicrous projects like HS2, not give 39 billion to the European Union. We've argued to stop charging 6% interest on student loans. We've put lots of ideas on the table, and we'll do more of that as the next general election approaches. But getting our country free, not being governed from Brussels, that matters right now more than anything.
Worth a Look says, what a stupid interviewer. I agree. I really can't stand her. Streaky Bacon says, if we leave on October 31st, I will party for 24 hours. Nom Nom says, I personally cannot wait for all your American snack imports to the UK. Pregnancy cravings for tasty things. I also loved corn dogs when I was over in the States. I'm really surprised about the corn dog thing. I guess a fresh one from like the fair or something could be tasty. We don't eat them. Other people do. Other people really like them. It's, if you're unfamiliar with a corn dog, it's a hot dog on a stick that's dipped in cornmeal. Not cornmeal, but like a cornbread batter. And then it's deep fried. And I think a fresh one could be tasty, maybe.
Yeah, I have some thoughts. You know, I don't ever want the government to be people's nanny. But on the one hand, I'm kind of glad that you guys aren't allowed to have like red dye number 5 and your
all
mac
the
and
things
cheese
that gonna
is
kill
white.
ya.
And so I'm kind of leery about us sending over a bunch of our deathly products. But say la vie.
So Stuart the Brit says, for the Americans, when you hear a reference to waving a piece of paper at the airport, before World War II, the Parliament made an agreement with the Nazis and waved an agreement at the airport.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
And I think by topping the polls as convincingly as we did here in Wales in these European elections, we have now put fear in the hearts of the other people in the valleys of South Wales, and I'm very pleased about that. Never before has a brand new political movement, in the space of less than 6 weeks, gone from nothing to winning. We won across the country, but we won here in Wales absolutely convincingly. And I can't really think of a part of the United Kingdom that is now less represented than Wales. There are 40 members of Parliament that Wales sends to Westminster. 39 of them have either voted to stop us leaving on the 31st of October with a clean break Brexit, or voted for Mrs. May's dreadful new European treaty. Only one out of 40 MPs in Wales, David Jones, have stood up for what the people of Wales voted for so clearly, so decisively. 75% of Welsh councils voted to leave, and just one MP has been prepared to stand up.
Wow. Talk
Just
about
one.
representative democracy. Yeah.
And that one MP who's had the guts to stand up for you is retiring at the next general election. So you might think you've got nobody to stand up for you. You might think you've got nobody to vote for. Well, with me today on the stage are the men and women who will stand for the Brexit Party at the next general election. Give them a hand.
This is the
also very exciting to see this political birth here. Yeah. It's amazing.
And they're going to be needed. Because, of course, most of these seats, particularly in the South, have been held by the Labour Party for 100 years or more. Indeed, in many ways, South Wales was the birth of the Labour Party. But it's a very, very different Labour Party today than the one that for much of that period has represented the voters in South Wales. It is now a party of Islington and not Isloin. It doesn't represent you. And the complete contempt with which they treat now the Labour Party Leave voters is astonishing. You know, the North London intelligentsia that run Labour, the Sir Keir Starmer types, the Emily Thornberrys. I know James talked about it, but it's worth running through again, isn't it, really? Did you see Emily Thornberry on Question Time the other week? Poor old Richard had to sit next to her for an hour. I mean, it must have been agony. And there she was, espousing her view as to what the Labour Party should do. Win the election, go to Brussels, renegotiate a new deal, put it to the people in a referendum, and then vote against it. I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up, could you? And Corbyn himself, who this week has confirmed that the second referendum would be a choice of Remain or a new deal based on membership of a customs union and a single market. Corbyn wants to offer you the choice of Remain versus Remain. Can you think of a bigger insult? And can you imagine the way that so many of your MPs have behaved in Westminster, the shenanigans we've seen over the course of the last few weeks, aided and abetted by that ghastly little man called Burko.
Where's my Burko?
But they literally have set out to subvert the democratic process. Who would have thought that in all the countries of the world, the one that was known as the Mother of Parliament should have behaved the way that it's done?
One of these for whoever's
And you see them on the television, they look so smug, complacent.
So we could listen to this speech all day long, and you can. This is Nigel Farage at the Brexit rally in Newport.
So I'm told by Britt Baza that Islington is a North London borough. So when he says, it's kind of like saying the politicians in D.C., they're not representing you where you're at.
Exactly.
Stuart the Brit says, for the Americans, again, the Welsh are a different tribe than the English. They are mostly Celtic, so historically we don't get on that much. Worthbook says that Nigel's still his favorite speaker. I could not agree more. He's mine as well.
So far, he's my favorite speech giver, like, worldwide.
Yeah. Okay, so when we went to get our cell phones, and the girl that was helping us was telling me about Instagram and how cool it was and how we should be on it, and I'm literally going like, I don't know, sister. Like, I really don't want to do Instagram. To me, it seems like it's a place for narcissists. And she's just saying, no, it's the coolest place ever. So now we are on there pretending to be narcissists, which is actually not in our...
we haven't even tried to pretend yet.
Yeah, well, I've been trying. Actually, I posted some stuff today. I took a picture with Nigel in my mug with Nigel, letting everybody know we were going live. So I'm trying to do the whole Instagram thing so you can find us.
The duck face.
I did not do the duck face. I think it might have been from a high angle, but that was just to cover up the wrinkles on my face to kind of get a different angle there for those.
I'm not above the high angle
there. But anyway, she goes, "Who's your favorite person, like, in the whole world?" And I was like, "Well, Nigel Farage." And she was like, "I don't know who that is." And I'm like, well, he's my favorite person. Literally, right off the top of my head, if anybody asks me who my favorite person, like, on the planet, celebrity-wise, it's going to be Nigel Farage. I didn't say Donald Trump, and I wasn't even trying to be politically correct. I literally just, Nigel's my favorite.
Well, and here's the thing. I really do like Donald Trump, but Nigel is, like...
warm and fuzzy.
He's a personable person. You could, like, sit out and hang out. Donald Trump isn't a hangout kind of guy.
No, he's get things done.
Self-admittedly, you're not going to be hanging out with Donald Trump.
Right.
If you're with Donald Trump, you're going to be working.
That's true.
Okay?
He reminds me of Grandpa Svensson.
Work. We're going to be fixing problems. We're going to be thinking, and that's who he is. That's Donald Trump. But it's not necessarily something you want to do all day.
Do you have something that you can help us with? Let me get information out of you. What are your special gifts and talents? Let's hear it. Let's get the ball rolling. Whereas Nigel's happy to sit down, smoke a cigar, and drink in the pub and laugh about some stuff. That's just not Donald Trump.
All right. Here's Ann Wincombe here.
War, such a useless parliament as the one we've got at the moment.
Raise your hand if you love Ann Wincombe.
You've got a parliament which is absolutely determined to overturn the will of the people. And you've got a parliament which is equally determined to frustrate the efforts of government to implement that will. And you've got a government which is completely and entirely determined to get rid of the worst speaker that we've seen in several hundred years.
This guy.
Order!
Right here.
And Wincombe says, order!
Parliament versus people, Parliament versus government, government versus the Speaker. Was there ever such a shambles in what is supposed to be a mature democracy? Well, the answer is very simple. If this is all they can do, we will take their places and show them what it is they should be doing. And that is why we've got enough prospective candidates to contest, if necessary, every single seat at Westminster.
That
is what we are ready for. And that is what we are now about.
So great.
It is to make sure that the decision, which was taken by the largest popular vote ever 3 years ago, is finally implemented. But the nation voted to leave. It didn't vote to stand there with one leg in and one leg out of Europe, which is what will happen if we have the agreement number 4. The May Agreement 4. You remember the first 3? The first was presented, it was refused. The second was presented, but it was no different from the first, and that was refused. And then the third was presented, absolutely no different, but with an accompanying declaration, and that was refused.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to actually continue here, but I want to point out something that great speakers have the ability to do. Great speakers have the ability to memorize all of their points and deliver them. She's not, even if she's got some sort of paper or teleprompter, I don't even know what she does. It's all in her head.
Because it's in her heart, too.
Her heart.
Sorry, I stole your punchline.
Yeah, that was where
No,
I was
it was
going,
helping.
okay.
It was helping. It was helpful.
It's all in her. It's in her head because it's coming out.
Okay, so before you continue, let me get to a couple of comments here. Leslie O'Connor on Facebook Live says Anne is ex-Labor, and he's laughing about it because it's so beautiful to see her like that. So Stuart the Bit says Anne always sounds like the worst math teacher. I love to listen to her, but obviously we never had any British math teachers that I can think of. So Streaky Bacon says the hated Burkow. Stuart the Brit says, I watched an old Resistance Chicks from a couple of years ago when Michelle first met Nigel Farage. I didn't actually meet him, but I think he means when we all came to the... And I did call him on the phone, talk to him on the phone twice so far. Quite funny after these years of Farage worship, yes. We worship the Lord, but I think that on a lesser worldly scale, you could say, yes, we think he's awesome and fantastic. So let's say Britt Baza says, all I can say is it's a good job that Burkow lives in Westminster Palace. Otherwise, he would get a kicking on the tube on the way to work. That just means like the underground transportation there. So
And now Boris is seriously thinking that we're going to be fooled if he brings back a souped-up version of the May deal. That is not leaving. That...
Stuart the Brit says she's also a devout Christian.
That is merely moving from full imprisonment to house arrest.
That's a really good analogy. Really, really good analogy. I love her.
We didn't vote for house arrest. We didn't vote to be told by the EU what we are and are not allowed to do. That vote was for one thing. It was for freedom.
Freedom!
William Wallace would be proud, Anne. Very proud.
It was so that we could live in an independent country, a country which can control its own borders, make its own laws, repeal those laws when it wants
to have her accent.
Make its own trade deal, be governed by a democratically elected government of its own choosing. That was what we voted for in May 2016, and nothing less than that will constitute leaving.
She said it.
I'm tired of being told that we didn't vote to leave without a deal. The question was very straightforward. Do we want to leave or do we want to remain? And the nation said we wanted to leave.
You can't see it. It's a big
and
X
ever since then, politicians have tried to water down the meaning of that word.
Raise your hand if you clicked the X in that box.
We didn't even know
and you're watching
that
today.
It was necessary to have a deal merely to allow us to leave. Of course, we wanted and still want and will have an effective trade deal. Of course, we want and still want and will have good relationships with Europe.
Duh.
They will forever be our neighbours. We want to be part of Europe, but not part of the EU, which was an entirely different thing.
Entirely different. Is there our eyes bugged out there? Entirely different.
And we knew that we would have deals to cope with all of that. But we did not believe for one moment when we voted with our crosses to leave that having a deal meant seeking their permission to leave. We are just going to go.
Here, pause her right there. I just want to read off really fast because I asked everybody. We got Streaky Bacon gave me an X. Yes, he voted. We know Britt Baza did. Stefan says I did. Robert Goddard gives lots of X's. Abominable Snowman says hello. I voted to leave. X. Stuart the Brit says yes. Let's see. Storm Bear gives us an X. Hilton says so did I. Snowman, as you know. Leslie O'Connor on Facebook Live gives us an X. I know Worth Look did, even though he didn't, you didn't say that you did. So we have so many people here watching our show right now. Imagine, I mean, we're here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and you guys are watching us. The entire country wants to go. Go back to Ann.
I'm also getting tired of being told how no deal is going to be a disaster. We are being told this by the same people who told us that if we so much as dared to vote leave, there would be an immediate recession. There would be a complete collapse in the jobs market. There was going to be doom, gloom, and Armageddon everywhere we looked.
Pure chaos.
And what has happened since then? Unemployment has reached a record low. We are doing extremely well, despite the fact that we dared to defy people who think they know better and voted to leave. So don't listen when they tell you it's all going to be a disaster. Look at the more quiet pronouncements. The governor of the Bank of England said months ago, not yesterday, months ago, that then 90% of British businesses were already fully prepared. The head of the port of Calais, and the French aren't known for giving us much encouragement.
You know, she's a comedian too, right?
Says it is a nonsense to suppose that there will be chaos in his port or our ports the next day.
Stefan says, go on, Anne, you're awesome.
We all know that what we are being subjected to is Project Fear the Second. And I am also tired about hearing that any small, and there may be a few small bumps, that any small disruption to our comfort or to the predictability of our lives, that somehow is worth sacrificing the independence of the realm.
Pause right there, though, because I want to reiterate what she just said with a comment from Baker Mom here. She says, don't forget that there will be lots of venereal diseases and no sandwiches. Now, for those of you that are unaware of Project Fear that has gone on in the UK, threatening all of these people of all the bad things that are going to happen to them if they leave the EU, she just says, as if within this Project Fear, all of these things like no sandwiches and venereal diseases, which I could kind of go with the venereal diseases if it was true, are worth, you have to, be able to get your sandwiches. I mean, worth not leaving the European Union. It's a really tough, it's not a tough call. It's not, even if their Project Fear was right, none of the things that they were proposing, even if true, are worth sacrificing the independence of the United Kingdom. That's what she just said there. Donna Terry says, if you leave the EU, all your dogs will die and your chickens will not lay eggs. Sounds like a curse upon you. That's what they're trying to put, a curse upon you people. Yeah.
So, Boris, as far as WA4, as it's known, is concerned,
withdrawal
the
agreement,
answer
the fourth time,
from this hall and from everybody who voted leave,
yes,
and now from a lot of people who voted remain as well, is very straightforward. It is no. And if you try to foist that on us, then when you finally manage to obtain a general election and you present yourself as the future Prime Minister, the answer will also be no.
No! The whole crowd. No! It's such a threatening force that they have, in a good way. If Boris doesn't give them
if on the other hand, Boris, you have the courage somehow to manage, and I know it's difficult with the Parliament we've got, but if you have the courage to manage to leave with a clean break so that we are negotiating in future from a position of strength and independence and as an equal rather than as some sort of vassal state, if you achieve that, Boris, then we will do our level best to make sure that you are in a position to go on achieving that. And we will give you all the help we can. But that is what you must do, Boris. You must not semi-leave, not stand there half in, half out, not be tugging your forelock to the likes of Juncker. What you have to do, Boris, is something terribly simple. It's one word. It was the word on the ballot paper 3 years ago. You have to leave. And if you don't make sure that Britain leaves, we will make sure that this Parliament leaves.
Woo! Now that is a mic drop right there.
Seriously, that was one of the best speeches I've ever seen.
If you're just joining us or you're unfamiliar with what's going on in the UK, okay, this is the most intense political thing that I think has ever happened. we've been talking about it since we, I still don't have my Nigel mug, it's over there. Since we, like Stuart the Brit talked about, covered Nigel for the very first time and obviously fawned over him and fell in love. We have been saying for years, Nigel for PM, Nigel for PM. Now, every time this gets brought up to Nigel, he says no, he scoffs at it. He genuinely does not want to be prime minister, okay? So what Nigel has literally done, because this has become such a shambles and a joke, is he has positioned, he has gathered his troops because he knows they're there. And he has all hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of representatives ready that if on the October 31st, if they leave with a deal and not a clean break, if they have 1 foot in the European Union and 1 foot in the UK, then at the next general election, Brexit will sweep all of Parliament. I mean, you guys don't understand in the UK, not the people in the UK. I mean, anybody outside of the UK doesn't understand what goes on in that Parliament. How many different parties and different people and opinions and what do I want to call it? We have in the here. What's the word? When they've been there for years and they're always the establishment. All these establishment people gone. These Brexit Party representatives are shop owners. They're business owners. They're blue collared workers.
I want to see it happen.
And that pits Nigel as in a general election. You do understand this. If they pit the Brexit Party against the Tory Party and in effect Labour, it's Nigel as PM against Jeremy Corbyn and Boris Johnson possibility as PM. The nation is going to choose Nigel. The Brexit Party is going to sweep because, as she pointed out, it's not just the people that voted leave. The Remainers that voted remain are like, listen, I don't want a bad deal either. I want us to be in the European Union, but I don't want us to be giving them billions of dollars for them to have complete control over our lives. I'm not stupid. Right? So, I mean, this is a most very exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, I almost, I don't think Boris is not going to get a deal. We're going to see some elections. It's going to be awesome. So we have something else. We have something going on right now.
Okay.
With Boris Johnson, there is a Supreme Court hearing because they're trying to challenge Boris Johnson proroguing Parliament here.
Now, what does that mean? Tell that to the people that don't know.
Putting the Parliament on suspension.
On hold.
And he had to get the Queen to sign off on it. And they're saying that he misled the Queen.
Good evening. We start with the landmark case being heard at the Supreme Court as the constitutional conflict provoked by the Brexit crisis reaches the highest court in the UK. 11 Supreme Court judges have started hearing 2 appeals to determine whether the Prime Minister acted lawfully when he suspended Parliament for 5 weeks. That decision was described by one barrister today as an abuse of power. But those arguing for the Prime Minister said he was acting in a political capacity which has nothing to do with the law. Our home editor, Mark Easton, has this report.
But the country voted, didn't they, to leave? Yeah.
Where does power lie in this troubled kingdom?
Imagine if he's so stupid, he tells lie after lie after lie.
With the Brexit rift in noisy evidence outside the UK's Supreme Court today.
All rise.
Inside, the 11 most senior judges in the land sat in courtroom number 1 to consider that question and make it clear they were not there to judge the merits of Brexit.
The determination of this legal issue will not determine when and how the United Kingdom leaves the European Union.
A month after becoming PM, was Boris Johnson's request to the Queen that Parliament be suspended for 5 weeks a ruse to silence MPs opposed to a no-deal Brexit?
You can't shut up!
Scottish judges did think it stymied the House of Commons, ruling it unlawful. The High Court of England and Wales disagreed, arguing it was a matter for politicians, not judges. Representing the Remain campaigner Gina Miller against the government, Lord Panic told the justices Boris Johnson had acted unlawfully.
No Prime Minister has abused his powers in the manner which we allege in at least the last 50 years.
Without a written constitution, the relationship between the 3 pillars of UK governance is always evolving. You've got parliamentary power, of course, based over there. Then you've got the government's power, focused on 10 Downing Street, behind the walls of Whitehall. And then you have the power of the courts, ultimately resting here at the Supreme Court. And what we're seeing this week is that balance of power being tested. The geography of Westminster reveals the triangle of power at the heart of the state. Today, Lord Panic focused on the relationship between MPs in Parliament and the government, headed by the PM in Downing Street, describing ministers as the junior partner. He also argued the courts were entitled to rule on the legality of Number 10 suspending or proroguing Parliament.
The Prime Minister's motive was...
Boris Johnson's real purpose was not a Queen's speech, but achieving Brexit by Halloween.
The best way to do that is if our friends and partners over the Channel don't think that Brexit can be somehow blocked by Parliament.
If this court finds...
This afternoon, Mr Johnson's lawyer in court had his turn to make the arguments.
The Prime Minister will take all necessary steps to comply with any declaration made by the court.
He'd come with an undertaking from Boris Johnson, but he also referred to Westminster's balance of power, suggesting the Supreme Court would be meddling in what were political matters if it ruled against the government. One judge wanted to know, if they did, might the Prime Minister seek to suspend Parliament a second time?
Can we take it then he wouldn't apply to have Parliament prorogued again?
I'm not in a position to comment on that proposition at all, my Lord.
It would be helpful to have the undertaking all given in writing, so that's...
Well, I'm content for that to be done, my Lord.
Judges like to have things written down, especially when feelings are running high and they're attempting to unpick the complex relationship between legitimate power and political ambition. Mark Easton, BBC News.
So we'll see how that plays out. I got a feeling that it's not going to go anywhere.
So Leslie O'Connor says he didn't. It's unconstitutional. Okay, he didn't deceive the Queen. There was nothing nefarious going on here. He also says that Gina Miller is the scum of the earth. I think that there is a lot of love lost between most people in the UK and Gina Miller. That was the lady that you saw walking out there. Let's see. He says it's political, not legal, so really none of their business. I kind of would disagree. I mean, I'm not from the UK, but I would think like that they would have the ability to say, listen, no, this is here, and I'm just basing it on our own system. Judges are there to, in the United States, say this is constitutional, it's not constitutional. So if it's a constitutional right that Boris Johnson has, then I would think that the judges there would be able to at least come in and say yes to back that up, to firm up the, constitutional right there.
So we're going to move on from that. We spent a lot of time on that, but I think it's important. It's the most important thing that's going on for you guys.
Yes, it is.
For all of Europe.
And worldwide.
And some smaller stories here. The UK police will stop publishing pictures of seized knives because they are scaring people. What? The English police force has stopped publishing pictures of the knives confiscated during weapon seizures to help reduce the fear of knives. Pictures shared on social media of a variety of weapons confiscated by police or handed over in amnesties have become a common sight. But the Thames Valley Police will no longer do so over concern of knife imagery, and it could be triggering to the public. The public is like little children, so... The Thames Valley Police said in a statement that after consultation with other forces and the National Police Chiefs of Council, it would stop publicizing images of seized knives to help reduce fear of the knives.
But I would think that if you are posting pictures of knives, now that's just a steak knife. Like literally, that's all that is, okay? That's what we've been reduced to in the UK because guns are illegal. Most, by and large, I know Barry's going to come in and correct me on that, but by and large, they are. I would think if I was from the UK, like, hey, you're seizing the knives, that makes me feel safer than not. Like, what about not posting the picture? That's really a blunt, that's almost the kind of knife you get at a restaurant. It's got that, like, rounded edge where you can, like, kind of cut a roll open with it and kind of cut a steak, but you can put some butter on there too. So I mean, seriously.
So this the Hackney police actually deleted these. These were because they were mocked.
What do you mean mocked?
They were mocked on social media. These
were
like,
okay.
you know.
Well, I was thinking like a mocked up like fake. So this is, I would think like a more scary knife, and this is a really small knife, and yes, my knife is dirty because I use it, but it's sharp. And I would think that posting knives of like posting pictures of switchblades and sharp knives would maybe be a little bit scarier, but that is literally the knife you get at Olive Garden. You know what I mean? Like it's not a scary knife to me.
So they had
it's not even sharp at the end.
They also had
You're gonna butter me up?
They also threatened to arrest Facebook users who mocked their tiny cannon procedure about enough to fill a thimble that they posted online, writing on their social media page. I would like to remind everyone that this is a police page. Whatever your thoughts on one of my officers seizing drugs in the community, being insulting, abusive, or offensive can will result in prosecution.
Okay, so hang on. You said cannabis. You just mean weed.
Yeah.
There was marijuana that was found, right?
The size of a thimble.
And it was the size of a thimble, and everybody was mocking like, oh,
why'd you
it's
post
not
that?
like you just found like a big cake of cocaine or something like that. Like you didn't, it's not a big deal. At the same time, these police officers, their hands have been so tied in what they can and cannot do that, you know, it's kind of adorable, actually. Look at my butter knife I seized and my little thimble worth of marijuana.
And then
I got it.
Then there was this one.
Got this hardened criminal.
Then there was this one.
Okay.
Where,
so these are more cooking knives. I would think more scary. Deadly, big, long butcher knives and stuff. No, these are more scary.
Yeah, but along with the spoon.
A spoon? Are they outlawing spoons now?
We covered this. So find the spoon. The best part is the spoon.
There it is. Oh, wow. That's a silver spoon. You can tell by the discoloration.
Yeah, so there was a sword, you know.
Now, Leah, do you want to tell them what this is right here? This long thing right here. That's a knife sharpener.
That's a knife sharpener.
So they seized the knife sharpener as a weapon.
A couple of those, actually. And then the little tiny baby sword down here.
Where's the baby sword?
Right here.
Okay, it could be another. No, that is definitely kind of some sort of.
That looks like something very
But
historic.
these are literally like, oh, these are for cooking. So it's now. See, and this is what I have. Now, what is that? What is this? That thing right there. It's like a plastic. It's a plastic knife, I think. Either that or it's bone.
It looks metal.
No, it does not look metal. It's very, very small. I have a problem because, you know, like let's say you go to the store and you go shopping for a knife and you are coming.
It will break. It chips easy. So.
And you're coming home with your little tote bag of knives that you've bought because you want to cook something, and then you can just be like arrested. I think that's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like, and let's say you want to go to a neighbor's house and they don't have a knife, and you're like, well, I've got to like wrap this up and I've got to put on a hood and I've got to like slide it down my pants and kind of like walk it over like a thug because I got to hide it because I don't want to get arrested.
Yeah, well, forget somebody asking somebody to bring the knives for the
potato peeler, apple
for
gore,
the Christmas ham. So we just saw the UK police in a tweet telling people don't be mean to officers online and mock them.
Right.
You'll be arrested. However, no charges, and I'm not going to read what he said in this viral video of a Muslim taxi driver who threatened to sodomize Christian converts in a viral video. No action will be taken against him.
You're kidding.
He threatened anybody and some bad words who wants to convert to blanking Christianity. We're going to blank you up in the blankety blank 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 in a viral video, which you can still find online.
And how did it go viral?
His 41-year-old Zahir Hussan shot the video, which went viral last December, alongside a laughing companion in a car of Preston, Lancashire. Press reports on the video are short on details, with one downplaying the rant as merely criticizing anyone who converts to Christianity. So I would like for you to see this incredible distinction. So if someone says we're going to blankety blank you and the blankety blank blank if you convert to Islam, you know that they will be arrested. You will spend the rest of your life languishing in jail.
That's for sure.
But it went on. There was more and more, and he simulated this act that he was going to do. Over the course of his rant, extended sections which are in a foreign language. He also demands Why are you blankety blanking converting you blankety blank 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 blankety blank blank? So Hussein was reported by a Christian woman who says, "This frightens me now to identify myself as a Christian. This man's dangerous views on something so normal like people changing religion is unacceptable. His threats to sexually assault those who convert to Christianity is the heart of hate speech. To me, he is displaying extremist tendencies and is encouraging violence. I'm genuinely concerned for the welfare of the public." But the police said, these were just private videos, no big deal. But remember, Count Dankula had a private video where he rather childishly taught the Nazi salute to a pug, and or to fall over with the pug. But it was at least something that was just kind of funny, not angry or filled with violence, and he was not promoting Nazi ideology. So what they're saying is that this pretend funniness, off-kilter humor is way more dangerous. This guy's not this guy who's threatening to really hurt people. Now remember, I don't believe that threats of violence are protected under your freedom
and that's the difference. And I think that, you know, when we normally, I would want to say, listen, this guy has a right. If he's just joking around, he has a right to say what he wants to say. At the same time, if he is just joking around, I still think it would warrant at least an investigation into his life to see if he actually wants to do harm. You know what I mean? So obviously the video needs to be taken down. Step one. Step two, he has to be put under investigation. Now, you said he was a taxi driver, right? Mm-hmm. So you would assume
he would have to have his license taken away.
He would have his license taken away.
Seems very dangerous. Yeah.
And so I'm just saying that there are steps that should be taken when someone does something that would, under normal circumstances, be an offense under the law. That's when your freedom of speech is now questioned.
Okay, so not a lot. We don't talk very much about Prince Andrew here and his Epstein ties. Mm-hmm. But you can read about them all over the internet. Right. And this is one of the UK's most embarrassing scandals, because the US is known for, you know, a lot of scandalous things. But Prince Andrew was seen with young girls. And pictured with young girls at Epstein's little parties.
Well, not only that, but from what I understand from you guys in the UK, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Horatio says that this is this is not a secret that that Prince Andrew's it's common knowledge that he was into little girls.
The UK's, but here's a very interesting. It's all blamed in Russia. Russia here. The UK's main external security unit, MI6, fears Russia may possess information potentially linking Prince Andrew to the Jeffrey Epstein sex abuse scandal.
It's amazing what Russia gets done, man.
I know. The Secret Intelligence Service is apparently worried a disgruntled ex-cop who fled the U.S. and was granted political asylum in Russia might have compromising material on the royal, says the Times of London, consisting of direct evidence of the prince's 2001 tryst with the 17-year-old slave, Virginia Guffrey. Guffrey claims she was ordered to have sex with Andrew and many of Epstein's powerful friends as a teenager. Claims both Andrew and Buckingham Palace. Wow. I love how Buckingham Palace knows that for a fact that it's false, because they were there. The Times article draws on the bizarre case of John Mark Dugan, a Marine Corps veteran and former Palm Beach Sheriff's deputy who fled to Moscow in 2016 following an FBI raid on his home in Florida. Dugan, who resigned from the force in 2009, angered police chiefs in America after setting up whistleblower websites throughout the country for good cops to spill their secrets without fear of retribution. The Times reports MI6 is worried about how much Dugan knows of the original police investigation into the billionaire's pedo activities, which when they were based in Florida.
Streaky Bacon says Prince Andrew and the Duke, his father, have been rumored as pedophiles for decades.
So when contacted in Moscow last week, Dugan agreed that details about Epstein might be incredibly valuable for any intelligence agency and might give leverage over a guy like Prince Andrew. So, Breitbart News reported Queen Elizabeth's second son flew on Epstein's private jet on at least 2 occasions with the alleged
to me,
sex
it's
slave.
just so dirty. Like the idea, it's just like disgusting. It's like thinking of some 1970s motel filled with cigarette smoke and dirt and like orange carpet, and like that's the vision that conjures up in my mind for these men getting on this airplane, including Bill Clinton, going to Epstein's pedo island.
Speaking of
vile, it's disgusting.
Flying, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle with 13 assistants will be flying to Africa with their climate message.
Oh.
Yes. Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, make a long-haul flight to Africa on Monday to spread their climate advocacy to a new audience. Baby Archie will join them. They're one of their self-proclaimed only 2 children for climate's sake. With the team of 13 assistants, including a social media officer and a hairdresser for Meghan. Full-time hairdresser going on this trip. The Sussex first tour as a family comes after the Duke and Duchess flew to Rome to watch Meghan's friend and fashion designer get married. And they're going to go to Johannesburg, Botswana, and just tell people they need to save the planet. The past 2 months have been busy for the royal pair, with them spotted one stage taking 4 private jet flights in just 11 days. And
so I would actually really like to see them go instead to China. PragerU put out a video ranking, the biggest polluters in the world. And China...
Actually, Africa's not on the list, really.
China is topping the charts. Well, Indonesia is on there as well. The United States is at the bottom of like 7. And so I'm just curious why they're not braving it and going to speak to the Chinese.
Africa still has a good number of people who are walking around barefoot herding cattle. There's not a lot of industry there, not a lot of plastics. I mean, there is pollution in the cities. But
okay,
compared
don't
to
get me wrong.
China, which is completely industrial.
Cities.
Industrial.
I'm like, okay,
Africa's
y'all
not
going to
the
the wrong people.
Pretty much,
I think they're scared to go to China.
Yeah.
Y'all afraid.
He just has this thing with Africa, and
they all do. It's weird.
Last month, remember, he was barefoot, and he told an elite audience of business leaders and celebrities that gathered at Google's annual deluxe retreat in Sicily to warn of imminent action. Tons of private jets there, but remember, they're the elite, and they're spreading a message,
right?
And so they have to for their safety. While I have you guys here, while we're talking about this, oh, and by the way, their renovations for their home cost $2.4 million. I'm sure that was really great for the environment. And remember, I think this last week, or a couple weeks ago, I don't know, he flew to Amsterdam to caution holiday makers and tourism chiefs about the damage being done to the environment by frequent flyers.
Oh, no, you didn't.
But he's different.
Right.
He has to, because he's spreading a message.
Right.
Right. Now, while I have you here, I am going to talk a little bit...
Pause, though, because I would think that it's like, okay, so we have a YouTube channel. Okay, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, whatever.
You could reach people online.
We don't go anywhere. It's very rare that we travel anywhere to spread our message. Now, if we weren't censored, which you obviously would not be, you could get your message around. You know why they don't? Because they want a jet set. They want to take vacations. That's it. That's what they want to do. They have nothing else to do in life. Sit at home in your little fancy houses and do YouTube videos. And you know what, though? They won't go viral because there's no one supporting you. That's why they...
This is kind of crazy. Paris reaches a new level of carnage. Climate protesters,
right,
and the Black Bloc anarchists clash with the Gilets jaunes, the Yellow Vests, in France. Trying to break it up are the understandably trigger-happy coppers, tear gas bonanza. Meanwhile, Macron reckons he has the authority to lecture us about Brexit. So you have the Gilets jaunes and climaters actually kind of fighting. Very interesting. These people, if they're really helping the environment, haven't they? And Macron wants to say, hey, you can't handle the government yourselves. Macron's country is
Leslie O'Connor says this is never reported in Britain. But why would it be? It's not going to be reported anywhere.
It doesn't happen if they don't report it.
Exactly.
You know, this is all like the left's fault. And I got to tell you, the left has really pushed these people to the brink here.
You know what's kind of disheartening for me, though, to see something like that? Is because, like, when you're in a situation and like that, and your emotions are heightened, and you're willing to literally almost put your life and your body on the line, like that guy, for what you believe, regardless of whether you're right or whether you're wrong, okay? And in a situation like this, it is for naught. It's not even like, you're not going to war, okay? Like a war, you know, fighting a war does affect things. And your message isn't even getting out there because nobody's allowed to talk about it. Right. So we live in this very strange society where you can have something incredible, life-changing happen to you. You could end up in the hospital. You could have a concussion. You could be, your ears could be ruined for life. You could lose it. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And no one will know about it because of the censorship that we live under. It's a scary world that we are living in.
And that goes right into this article I have here. You guys know who he is. I don't. But John Humphreys, I guess, is a veteran from the BBC for 33 years. And I guess he's on his way out, or he's out. But let me get to this article here. He says that the BBC is Kremlin-style thought police, and they want to mold the UK into the liberal left's image.
Exactly.
John Humphreys, the veteran BBC journalist who helmed its flagship Today program for 33 years, exposed the publicly funded broadcaster as institutional liberal bias within days of his retirement. So he's not retired yet, but Mr. Humphreys expressed his relief at being free from the BBC thought police, which he claims has tried to mold the nation into its own liberal left image. Despite the broadcaster's notional legals requirement to remain balanced and impartial in memoirs that are being serialized by the Daily Mail. The 76-year-old Welshman revealed, and then we just see that the Welsh team seemed to have a little bit of a 75% Wales voted to leave, right? Revealed the BBC's great fear of the politically correct brigade and the most fashionable pressure groups, usually from the liberal left, the spiritual home of most bosses and staff, and how the disaster of the British people's vote to leave the European Union in 2016 against the advice of the left neoliberal establishment sent them reeling. The morning of the EU referendum was different. Leave had won, and this was not what the BBC had expected, nor what it wanted. No nods and smiles when the big bosses appeared. No attempt to pretend that this was anything other than a disaster. Their expressions were as grim as the look on the face of a football supporter when his team's star player misses the penalty that would have won them the cup.
It's more like this.
Yeah, Humphreys, though he voted Remain.
See?
In the European Union himself, said the result exposed a fundamental flaw in the culture of the BBC, and that its bosses, almost to a man and woman, could simply not grasp how anyone could have put a cross in the leave box on the referendum ballot that day. He suggested that the public broadcaster was similarly out of touch on issues such as mass migration, and how the efforts of Robin Aiken, a senior BBC journalist, to put together a dossier highlighting the way the corporation had failed or fallen into the left-wing agenda, which was wholeheartedly and unashamedly pro-EU, were first met with silence and then the instruction of blank off. There is, I believe, a groupthink mentality, an implicit BBC attitude to what makes news. Humphreys opined. Obviously, you're talking about the Gillette Jaunes not making news there. And obviously, such anti-Trump coverage is not even funny. Totally anti-Salvini, totally anti-Hungary and Poland, calling them white supremacists and Nazis, suggesting its institutional liberal bias was not so much a product of conspiracy as of its tendency to recruit middle-class liberal arts graduates, a disproportionately large portion of whom have been to private schools trained by left-wing academics. And that is true. This may explain why the BBC sometimes fails so badly to spot any change in the nation's mood in hugely important areas. Immigration was one of them. Humphreys is not the first BBC veteran to highlight the corporation's bias, although for his part, Humphreys believes it is still a force for good overall. With Peter Sysons, who presented the BBC 9 o'clock news and the BBC 10 o'clock news for a decade, having alleged that a left-wing mindset was at the core of the BBC in its very DNA in 2011. By far the most popular and widely read newspapers at the BBC are The Guardian and The Independent, the two major left-wing Europhile outlets. Producers refer to them routinely for the line to take on running their own stories and for inspiration on what items to cover. In the latter stages of my career, I lost count of the number of times I asked a producer for a brief on a story only to be handed a copy of The Guardian and said, it's all in there.
Wow. So for those of you that are not living in the UK, and some of this may sound a little bit, you're not quite understanding it, you're thinking the BBC is the equivalent to CNN. Well, you would be right and you would be wrong, because CNN is not government propaganda. It is, but it isn't. It's not funded. Taxpayers are not paying for CNN. And so Britt Bozza says the BBC's license is given to them because the BBC Constitution and license has to be impartial by law, yet the government still allows them a license even though they are breaking the law now. They have to, by law, be impartial. And it used to be all news was by and large impartial. They would present the facts and let the reader decide. That's what it is to be a news reporter and not a news commentator. Now, we give our news commentary, okay? I wouldn't exactly call us news reporters most of the time. I think sometimes we are, but by and large, I think we do news commentary. There's opinion pieces, okay? You can still be a journalist, but most people want to go to the mainstream news because they don't want to be fed what they should believe. They just want to be given the facts and allowed as a full-grown adult to make their own decisions. So that's why the BBC is so corrupt, because these people in the UK are forced to pay for this thing. Like, you think you pay for cable, they have to pay for the BBC. Like a tax. It's a tax. They have to pay for it.
They've arrested people because they didn't pay it.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. Could you imagine if you had to pay, if you owned a television, if you had to pay to have CNN come into your house? I own a television and now I have to pay for CNN propaganda. Like, you have to. It's not even a choice. So that's why it's so corrupt.
So this is a little clip here. Did you hear Nigel talk about Emily Thornberry? That's her right there with the blue shirt and these little European Union stars saying, we want a people's vote.
Now! What do we want? A people's vote! When do we want it? Now!
Trust the people. Now. The people voted once, and you've betrayed their trust by asking for another vote. That's not the way that voting actually works, okay? So let's say let's go back to 2008.
Yeah.
Our grandma was still alive, and she would have died if she had known that Barack Obama was elected as president. So I think the Lord took her that year in May on purpose. But in 2008, Barack Obama was elected president of the United States. Now imagine, and this was in November, imagine if in December or even in January, right before the inauguration, all of the Republicans stood up and said, well, we really need to trust the voice of the people, so we need to have them vote again. Because I think between November and January, people have changed their minds. And so I think that we need to have another vote on who should be president. And we would start protesting and holding banners and signs saying, trust the people, trust the people. They need to vote again to tell us what they really think, because we believe that their minds have changed. And so don't you think that's the way that democracy should work?
It's a one step away from just taking away your vote
ridiculous.
altogether.
It's totally absurd.
So I need to go to Italy while we're here for our UK show. Sorry we were missing a half an hour of your show. We had some technical difficulties getting
European
online.
and UK show, pretty much around the world.
Yeah. So in Italy here, a pro-migration former mayor on trial for aiding illegal immigration. Former Italian mayor Domenico Lucano.
I think you said Lucano's correct.
No, that's not a CH.
Okay, you're
Lucano could face house arrest, and as he and several others are on trial for aiding illegal immigration, kickbacks, his nickname is Mimo, is among 27 defendants on trial for a number of charges relating to illegal immigration, and was initially banned from even going back into his town.
No way.
And a judge was like,
so
no,
it's
you
not
can go
exactly
back into
like
your
a
town.
tough guy nickname. I think that's something you'd like call your grandma.
The former mayor of Riace was arrested last October on charges of aiding illegal migration, embezzlement, abuse of office, although the charges of embezzlement were later rejected.
Okay.
The prosecutor, Lacree, presented a motion in front of the Court of Review of Reggio involving a precautionary measure that
Isn't it just Rego?
No. To see Lucano placed under house arrest during the trial, with a decision expected in the next several days. The pro-migration mayor became well known across Italy as early as 2011 for his open-door policies for asylum seekers, and was even hailed as a savior of Riace by the BBC in an article which claimed he turned the asylum seekers' arrival into a win-win situation for all sides. While Riace was famous across Italy for its pro-migration policies due to Lucano, the European Parliament elections held this year saw the small town swing in an entirely different direction once the people have showed up. With Matteo Salvini and his Lega party, who won most of the votes in that town with over 30%. Just before the election, Salvini slammed Lucano, saying, "When I get to Calabria, people ask me for more work, not more immigrants." During his time as Interior Minister, Salvini oversaw the massive reduction in the number of newly arrived illegal immigrants. So it's kind of interesting. I'm sure under Salvini, they're making it happen. Port of Dover CEO sinks Brexit scare stories. Just to let you know, 100% ready
for no deal.
Ready. The Port of Dover is 100% ready for a clean, no deal Brexit. According to Doug Bannister, the port's CEO, the port is 100% ready. Ferry operators, 100% ready. Khalid, Dunkirk, 100% ready, said Mr. Bannister in comments reported by Bloomberg, sinking a key narrative of the much discredited now Yellow Hammer. Once the rules of the game are known, business will adapt, and they will adapt very, very swiftly, indicating yet another delay to Brexit would have the undesirable effect of prolonging the periods of uncertainty and leaving people without their sandwiches.
And lots of venereal diseases. Remember that. There will be more venereal diseases if we have a clean break Brexit. So say the fear mongers.
So while we're going worldwide, I just want to reiterate, talking about Trudeau and his blackface this week. He was caught 3 times in the past with blackface on the former Liberal Party premier of Ontario, Kathleen Wynne, has slammed Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, claiming his blackface photos have hurt Canada's international reputation.
They kind of have.
It was a really bad decision that he did these things, a kind of stupid decision, really, to have done them. He should have known better, and he said that. They believe that he did a stupid thing.
Now, the left is coming out, and they're really just saying, but look at his apology. Like, he's so sorry. Isn't that amazing to watch when somebody just knows they did something wrong and they apologize? Well, guess what? And they're also trying to say, you know, this was just a youthful indiscretion. He was 29 years old when he did one of them. And I was watching Greg Gutfeld last night on Fox, and they were pretty much like, so when is he ever not in blackface? I mean, we've got 3 things that have surfaced. Like, how many more are there? Does he sleep that way?
Yeah. So she's saying this is a really, really big deal. But the left is definitely trying to cover it up and say no big deal. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. If any conservative comes out, has wearing blackface, then it gets canceled out. So I don't know if they want to go this route or not. But I think that's what they did with Al Franken here. They were like, well, we need to be able to take conservatives down, so you have to go. Right? So here's our 3 pictures here. One where he was blacker than any Arabian Night ever.
He was supposed to be Aladdin when I think he already looks like Aladdin just by himself.
Then he put on an afro and sang the Banana Song, and then here he wore blackface. But nobody thinks to do this. I don't know anybody who thinks to do this.
Now, the thing that they were really talking about is like, so when we covered this on Friday with PJW, he pointed out that his hand, it's in a weird position, but he even blackfaced his hand. Like, at least here, I don't know, you can't tell in this picture if he did or not. But like you just said, who actually thinks to do this? I think, though, with Trudeau, you almost have to chalk it up to He just likes to dress up, like you said. I mean, he likes to play a part. And, like, what about the Wayans brothers that did, what was it, the white chicks, and they, you know.
Right, yeah.
So I think, like you just said, conservatives need to walk a very fine line here, because
we have been a little bit remiss. We probably could have put it in the title. Canada has an election before the UK is going to have an election.
Yes.
Even though like the two things are going to happen within 10 days of each other.
Right.
Canada is going to have an election on October 21st. This is their election. Their big shebang, right? We're not really covering it, but we should a little bit more. So 5 weeks.
They're only north of us by
less than 5 weeks ahead.
1,000 miles or whatever. Not even quite.
Not quite. But he did take a hit in the polls. Now, the Conservative leader Andrew Scheer had a 4.8 percentage point against Trudeau lead, according to the Nanos research poll published Saturday for CTV. Scheer had a 3.2% lead in the previous survey published on Friday. So he got a good, at least a 1%, 1.5% bump in the polls with this. Conservatives would win 36.8% of the vote and Liberals 32%. So we could see a huge shift in Canadian politics, and I got goosebumps. So I'm going to shout out and say a good prayer for the Canadians and hope that their conservative moral values will come to the front.
Their conservative option.
And I have seen him. We have played. I did not even know who was running against him. We've played.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like when Scott Morrison came on our scene like a week before the election.
Yeah.
And he just sweeped it. So the Liberals were leading in a Main Street poll published in iPolitics on Saturday, but had lost 0.4 percentage points from the previous survey compared to 0.2. Now, if this Scheer guy had been found with blackface 3 times, he's out. Trudeau's back in.
Exactly.
He's just done.
Yeah.
And the hypocrisy of the left to never hold. You can see that they use these identity politics. It's just a weapon. They don't mean it. That's what this means. Is they don't mean it. And you can know that when you talk to people. You can mention this and say, "You guys don't mean it. You don't mean it." I mean, I don't see black people going around saying Justin Trudeau, Justin Trudeau, Justin Trudeau.
I know.
You know what I mean? But if they would know who the other guy was.
I guess my opinion of blackface is like, okay, a lot of people understand that it offends people, so you shouldn't do it. But back when all these photos are surfacing, the political climate wasn't being pushed so forceful. So even on Trudeau, now granted, he's a young guy. Like, how old is he? Like 40 something? Like not even?
He's young. Yeah.
So like, let's say this was done 15 years ago. Okay. Actually, that still is enough time for him to know.
He was 29.
Right.
So it was a little over 10 years, but still it's enough.
I think it's enough time for him to know.
29? Seriously?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so you have the New Democrat Party and the Green Party are pouncing on this to take some of his votes. So that will actually raise the Conservatives up if they do take some votes away.
Right.
Dear Justin Trudeau, now there's a video. How can we trust you to fight for racial equality in housing or employment? Racial justice in schools and immigration system. Our realities aren't a joke or a game. And it comes down to he enjoys dressing up.
Exactly.
He's an actor and he's literally playing at PM. He belongs on the Shakespearean stage.
Right. So again, for politically, the way that all of these governments that have like a parliament work is, I'll get your phone in a second. We have prime ministers. It's not like they're just voting for one guy to be president of the United States like we have here. It's who gets the majority of a party and so on and so forth. It is kind of confusing.
So I wanted to play this, and if you could bring the guitar down while you're up there. Here we have the protesters in Hong Kong, protesters politely and reverently folding the American flag, and people are like, can we please exchange the Antifa for these people? And I think that this kind of goes to show, obviously Americans aren't racist, because I see conservatives all the time saying, I want these guys. I want these Hong Kongers, these democracy-loving, American-loving Hong Kongers who know how to properly fold a flag, and they're like, that's the way you want to do it, and be kind and just be very respectful, and this is what we want to see. this is what we want to see. That's really, really awesome in my opinion. As far as the environment goes with climate change, you want to talk to America, we need to talk to India. The plastic can we talk about trash? This is, the Mother Earth is crying.
They're dumping it into the water.
The Mother Earth is crying, and we're damaging the environment, and it makes me sick, and I'm almost going to hurl. I can't really watch too much of these videos, but my point is that a lot of these kids, and I'm playing it here, a lot of these kids, this girl here, this is the video I was looking for on Friday, and this is from America, but it was
if she's
a worldwide,
screaming, though, you need to turn the volume down first.
Worldwide movement, so I'm going to play this now, because, and we're going to play a song or two before we leave. We don't have too much more time left with you guys, but this is what I wanted to play, because these kids, if they really believed that the planet was going to die in 10 or 12 years, they would do something about it. But the problem is that they go to school and they say it's carbon emissions, and only by, and it's very demonic and it's very brainwashing. It's carbon emissions. See, there is something happening to our planet.
Yeah.
There's plastic in our bodies, plastic in children, and it's getting in the water. There are birth controls getting into the water, estrogen. So boys are effeminate. When I look at young men today, their shoulders are slouched. Their skin is gaunt.
They have these
they have these little baby bellies.
Yeah.
They have no
upper
we
body,
went around,
muscular, like they don't have chins like jaw lines anymore.
No jaw lines anymore,
and that's why a lot of them have to have these beards, these man beards, because the estrogen into the water has made it so that they are storing fat in places where they wouldn't normally store fat, and then even worse, it's affecting their children genetically.
And so we talk about these things, and we are trying to protect you guys as well. You know, the 5G coming out, that's dangerous.
Awful. It's really dangerous.
If they were there, but see, they're not worried about 5G. And I think there was a country in Africa that just planted, in a 12-hour period, they made a world record by planting over like 1 million trees or something like that. That's how you're going to save the planet, while at the same time scaling back on junk from China. Yeah. Right? It's the junk from China filling
It's not a matter of not eating meat. And I know we talked about this ad nauseum on Friday, but it's not cutting meat out of your diet. Try cutting all of the chemically laden junk out of your diet. That would save the planet. That would save our lives.
Recycling
it would make us healthier.
Recycling is like going to the doctor.
Yeah.
But if you can, recycling shouldn't even. Now I'm looking at my pantry. We have pantry items, but we try.
What you mean is from the store?
Yeah, we have pantry items from the store. We have some salad dressings which you can make at home. We have some barbecue sauce which you can make at home. We have some cans, but we, by and large, pretty much the only thing we really keep stock is spaghetti, because it's labor intensive to make.
Pasta is really hard to make.
But they're boxes and I burn them.
Yeah.
So totally, whatever, with that. But my point is that, like, if you're going to eat popcorn, pop it on the stove, or get a popcorn maker. Then you're not recycling bags. There's going through a bunch of bags. There's a lot of things that we can do to cut back on what we just saw in that crazy river, right?
Okay, so I think of all these people that are obsessed with these K-cups.
Oh,
right?
they're really bad
for their
for the
coffee and going to Starbucks for your coffee and so on and so forth. So I'm not trying to rag on people that do these kinds of
Starbucks is
things.
like one of the #1 things for like eco-friendly people, but they're like totally harming the environment.
And that's the thing, okay? It's not a matter of just like trying to shame people, but it's a matter of just making you think. Like, seriously, you could make coffee at home. It doesn't have to be.
I know people get up in the morning and drive to get coffee and come back home.
Or just they buy boxes and boxes and boxes of these K cups.
Right.
Like one little cup for and like, again, I don't want to like shame people. That's not the point here. I'm just saying it actually isn't healthy for you to be consuming coffee that came in a plastic cup.
Well, and I don't know if Starbucks does it, but my point is that these kids are scared. There are things they should be afraid of, and they're not afraid of those things.
Yeah.
They're literally afraid of the boogeyman because their teachers are saying it's carbon emissions.
Yeah.
But it's not. I'm trying to tell you guys, the planet is not warming because of carbon. You can look at the data. There have been warmer times in history than colder times in history.
But we are polluting our planet, and that's the thing that these kids just can't think critically. They don't know.
Need these kids, if they believed in it, like the millennials who read Joe Salatin's books, they will leave the corporate environment and go work on a farm or start farming themselves.
So they don't really believe it.
Well, they believe what their teachers are telling them they believe.
Right.
We're not here to talk about our sacrifices and our doom and gloom and not existing. We are here to create. We are creating this movement.
I don't know where
we can hear her though, yeah.
It was here, and then did it leave? I finally found the one, and it's gone.
I didn't want it to like scream in your ear though, because she did, like, she almost broke her own voice there.
Our sacrifices and our doom and gloom and not existing. We are here to create. We are creating this movement every day because every day of inaction drives more action from us.
Wow. So, I don't know what she actually said or what she actually meant, but we're here to create blah, 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 blah.
But, okay, so her, I'm not trying to be like Bombard's body language interpreter here, okay? But as far as her voice goes, as somebody that has spent a good portion of her life babysitting children, when children reach that level of yelling, so there's yelling, right? There's, we are here to create. But when you have to go into that create, I mean, that is childish. Like, what happens to a child when they hit that scream level? They're out of control. They literally, and that's a fact. And you can see that this child is trying to go at the all these lengths to make a point. And that's what kids try to do. You're not listening to me. You're not hearing me. I have no idea what I'm saying, and I'm going to scream at the top of my whatever. And that's what she just did.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to end, and we can talk about climate and more and more and more. I'm going to end with this. Thank you to Barry, who sent us this Dominique Frisby's hate speech song, which is absolutely just epic.
Next time, tell me and I'll pull it up.
Why don't you do it? Go ahead.
Here.
Sometimes.
I do want them to see it. Go ahead. You bring that up so they can see it there, and then we can maybe even begin to turn things around to play our songs while that plays, like a little commercial. Be fantastic.
Okay, here. Let me do yours.
Is that you don't know how to log in? To
no,
your own account?
I do, but yours is just going to be easier. Because yours doesn't. For some reason, it doesn't save my password, so I have to enter it in, and I think I have a new one. Is it on your messenger?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, this guy, I love this song. Okay. Now, Barry had given me a backstory, which I don't have time to go look up right now and read.
There's a guy, he mentions the pub. He mentions the pub here, the pub owner, and he voted for Brexit and supports Brexit, so people were outside.
It's in your messages?
Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
Because he does other songs that weren't exactly as kosher, so I'm not trying to tell you to go be a fan of this guy.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get at here. I want to open this in a new.
Yeah, just click on it.
Well, but then all right, but I can't actually.
No, I mean, click on it. It'll go to another window.
Okay.
Is what I'm trying to say. Down here.
Okay, there we go. That's
Listen to your sister.
Leah knows what's what.
So I was trying to tell you in proper English.
Okay. So tell me if I need to adjust the volume on this, because I can't.
I'm going to get my stuff set up because I listened to it. Okay.
Sometimes you find yourself with an opinion. That's all it is, a point of view. You ain't gonna kill people with it. You ain't gonna stab someone with your opinion. But it's not the opinion they want you to have. It's not the right opinion. So you keep it to yourself. and they tell you their opinion. You may not even want to hear it, but they tell you. I'm not talking about taxi drivers here, but left-wing comedians. They tell you their opinion. Man, they shove it down your throat. And you say, well, I'm not sure that's right. Could be another side to that. And they look at you, and they say,
you're a far-right racist, homophobe. You're a fascist, you're a sexist, you're a xenophobe. You gammon, you ideologue, you chauvinist. You Tory scum, you capitalist. You're a bigot, you're a wingnut, you're a swivel-eyed loon. And you'll get your freaking justice, you extremist buffoon. You're spreading hate, you're spreading hate, you're spreading hate.
I love how it goes back and forth from this calm revelry.
So, this guy I met was telling me about Jeremy Corbyn, how he's gonna save the country. And I was like, I'm not convinced about that guy. And he was saying, no, socialism is the best way to help people. And I said, I'm not sure about that either. I'm not sure a lot of people even want helping out. A lot of them just want to be left alone.
That's right.
And he started telling me that these people need helping out, even if they don't know it. And socialism is the way. And I started thinking of places where they tried socialism. Russia, China, Germany had that national socialism thing going on. Cuba, Venezuela ain't working so well today.
Not today.
And I couldn't think of one where it had worked. And he said, nope, that wasn't real socialism.
It's never been done right.
And I said, are you sure? And he looked at me, and he said,
you're a far-right racist, homophobe. You're a fascist, you're a sexist, you're a xenophobe. You patriarch, you're biphobic, transphobic, Islamophobic. I'm offended by your views, you should do a lot of time. Having wrong opinions is a hate crime. You're spreading hate, you're spreading hate, you're spreading hate.
So I went for a drink in that place, Wetherspoons. And there was this girl outside with a loud hailer, telling people that they shouldn't go in, since that guy, Tim Martin, the owner, came out in favor of Brexit. She said, if you go into Wetherspoons, you are funding hate. And I said, it's only £3.50 a pint. I ain't funding that much hate. And I said, I'm part Italian. I've seen the youth unemployment in Southern Europe, and I don't support that. EU might not be such a good thing. Big government, big corporations, big tech. For me, it's all part of the same problem.
Me too.
And I think decisions are better made locally. And she looked at me, and she said,
you're a far-right racist, homophobe. You're a fascist, you're a sexist, you're a xenophobe. Your views are so bad, your views are so wrong. I'm having a meltdown, I just can't carry on. You're literally Hitler, you're literally him. You must be excommunicated for this wrong thing. You're spreading hate, you're spreading hate, you're spreading hate.
That's what that girl just
Mental
did.
explosion!
Literally had a mental explosion. That's what that little girl had. She had herself a mental explosion like he just had. At the end there. So
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Now you guys have seen, and I know my little, that was kind of odd there, but all right. So
I gotta figure out how to. We have printer issues,
so I can print it out if you want to send me the link.
And so when I do these songs, it's almost impossible. How am I gonna send you the link?
You can send it to me on Facebook.
Okay, well, I'm not bringing up my Facebook for everybody to see.
So let me go back to some of the comments here. Thank you guys for being here with us, by the way. It's been a really good show.
Yeah,
Leah, thank you for putting it together.
Yes.
I'm struggling here to find my
We're really
stuff
white
here.
right now.
We are. Well, yeah. I can adjust that some. A little bit. With the lighting slightly. Yeah, that's good enough. All right. So Mike Whitney says, okay, there is one comedian musician.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. Okay, so you go try to print those out. Or just try to print them out. I'll go look for them. And you can read comments while I go look for them.
Now, I got to figure out how to print it. Thank you guys for being patient.
We appreciate it.
It will be worth it.
I think maybe if we put the printer downstairs, we can get to it easier.
It's a good idea.
Like print it like right down here.
All you need to do is press the power button on it and turn it back on. So Leah was practicing songs last night, and they were really good. And so it's going to be worth. We're gonna sing. We're gonna sing. Third Day's "Consuming Fire" for one, and by a band called Disciple. We're gonna be singing "Dear Ex, You Don't Own Me," which is one of my absolute all-time favorite songs. So hopefully, if we can get the printer working, then that is what we're going to be singing now. Earlier I mentioned, so one of our viewers, who is also a friend that I have never met, and his wife Terry, Eric Mathis, you guys hear me talk about him a couple of times. I think it's been twice, maybe just once so far. He has spoken at his church, and we streamed it here on Mass Faith 3 on Resistance Chicks. He spoke on Wednesday about abortion at his church, and it was so amazing. It blew me away. And so tonight, I want to say, let's come back here around 7 o'clock, 7:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to actually stream it. I will be here. And I'm going to stream it. It's 45 minutes long, but it's so powerful and so worth it. So today you're going to get 2 shows. Not only our show from right now, but you're going to get a show later today too. So, I want you to make sure that you come back for that. So I'm still trying to cancel the printing and I'm going to restart it to see if we can get it to work. Did it go? Okay, well, but I canceled it, so I'm going to try printing it again. It'll tell me if it's printed. Well, it should anyway. I'm not really sure why. It's still telling me it's offline, Leah. I'll just scroll it for you as you play. Okay? So just come here, and I will scroll it. Her issue was she was thinking it's not going to be on one sheet. So, did you hear me? Leah? I don't think she heard me. She's probably waiting for the printer to print. I love that you guys are so patient with us. And that's why. Did you hear me, Leah?
I did.
Okay.
So back when the good old days when your computer was hooked up to your printer.
Mm-hmm. Now it's done via Wi-Fi. Right.
Good old days before Bluetooth.
Right.
Before all that stuff. Okay, I need you to plug me back in. Oh, I guess you can just plug me.
We'll do it from right here.
Okay.
And I can also pull up the chat to the side, so I'll still be able to see it. I'll just make it small.
No, because you're gonna put it right in front of the song like you always do.
I won't do that. I will not do that.
You always do.
You know what? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll have it on my cell phone. I'll pull up the chat on my cell phone.
Okay, so this is a song. You can make it smaller though, so you can have more to the screen. You can just make your screen smaller.
Can you still see it?
Yeah. This song here is by Third Day, and it's kind of. I thought this would be fitting for Nigel and Boris. It's called "Make Your Move," and it's not necessarily like, even though Third Day is a Christian band, it's not necessarily it's not a Christian in per se. Like, it's not a song about God to you or you to God. It's actually, I think what he wrote it for, the way I read it, is like a song, like a friend, like, hey, you know, I'm gonna walk away if you don't make a move here. And I think that it's kind of like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the Nigel Farage song for Boris. Like, you gotta make your move, or we're walking away. We're taking everybody with us.
That's good.
So,
all right, here we go.
I gotta get my I wanted to really I really wanted to practice before the show to get it back into the rhythm. Where's my other pick? This stronger pick, I'm gonna break.
I got picks in here. I got a whole bowl of picks. You want another one?
No, I got it.
Do you want me to jump in for you? Okay.
Okay, yeah, I would go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
This is like jump rope and just jumping in. I'm looking around here for some kind of miracle. I'm looking around here for some kind of sign. I gotta believe there's a rhyme and a reason for the faith that you find. I gotta admit that there's something I see in you. I know that there's something deep inside. But nevertheless, still can't help but wonder, would you ever really care if I ever said goodbye? So what I want to do is pause, because what I can do, but I have to click off of here, is I can pull this up so they can see the lyrics.
Oh, I thought they didn't.
Well, I can. No, not right now. See, this is what they're seeing.
Okay, they want to.
And that way, they can see the lyrics as well. So, hang on, that's the other guy.
I think it needs to be a little slower too.
So it's low because it's a guy's song. Oh, that's not what I wanted.
We can just, yeah, it is. But I like the song. It's really good.
Here we go.
We can actually sing it if you want. We can sing this a little bit better.
I don't know if races it up though.
Around here for some kind of miracle. Let me flow. We're gonna make this happen.
We're making it happen.
Let's try it again.
I'm looking around here for some kind of miracle. I'm looking around here for some kind of sign. I gotta believe there's a rhyme and a reason for the faith that you find. I gotta admit that there's something I see in you. I know that there's something deep inside. But nevertheless, that I can't help but wonder, would you ever really care if I ever said goodbye? Oh, goodbye. Well, you got love and I got time. Won't you make a move before I change my mind? Yeah. And I want to believe it's true. I'm listening close. Won't you make a move now? I know that there's more to life than I've ever known. I feel it down deep inside my heart. You weren't ready.
You jumped in.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's the jump ropes. I know that there's more to life than I've ever known. I feel it down deep inside my heart. And I'm here just to find what you're believing and to know who you are. And if you care to share a minute of your time with me, tell me now, because I'm hoping that I can believe. Give me a reason to trust what you're telling me. Lord knows I need it now. Won't you show me how? 'Cause you got love and I got time. Won't you make a move before I change my mind? Yeah. And I want to believe it's true. I'm listening close. Won't you make a move now? Where do you want me to go from here? Back up? I'm looking around here. I'm looking around here for some kind of miracle. I'm looking around here for some kind of sign. I gotta believe there's a rhyme and favorite to find. Well, you got love and I got time. Won't you make a move before I change my mind? And I'll give you a chance to say everything you want before I walk away. And I want to believe it's true. I'm listening close. Won't you make your move now? Make your move. Why don't you go here? You got love and I got time. Won't you make a move before I change my mind? Yeah. To believe it's true. I'm listening close. Won't you make your move
Let me do
now?
my thing at the end here.
I'm going to let you do your thing. That's why I shut up, man. Because you're on a roll.
Okay.
Do your thing. I didn't know we were at the end. Okay. We got love and I got time. Won't you make a move before I change my mind? And I want to believe it's true. I'm listening close. Won't you make a move now?
Close enough.
That's good.
I tried to find it and tried to put it in a different key, but it wasn't going. It was not going up on me. So I actually practiced it higher yesterday, and I couldn't make it to sound good. But
It's a good
that's
song.
good.
It's one of my
It's
favorites.
close.
All right, so where's the other one? In my thing here, let me turn off my screen share because I'll have to go back to Facebook here and get it. There we are, Big again. Hi, Big.
We gotta get going.
We do.
Don't really have time for another song.
Well, it'll go fast. Do you want to save it for later this week?
I want to play it.
Okay. Well,
You gonna bring it up?
I'm trying to find where I need to go. Here we go.
You get so nervous when we
I'm
do
not.
our songs.
It's not that I'm nervous. It's not a nervousness. It's literally my brain won't function. There's a difference.
Okay, now you're gonna have to, yeah. Now this is one of my favorite songs. So this, I'm comparing this, I say, to the EU, okay? This is the EU, right? So it's
Right.
called Dear X, you keep coming after me.
Fill in the blank. Dear X.
Yeah.
That's why it's called that. Fill in the blank. Whatever
And
you've
so,
got
like,
going
this is
on
a
in your
perfect
life.
song, like the X,
Oh, yeah,
Dear
that's good. I
X.
like that.
Okay, so like it's a song and it's probably about it's about pain and shame and different things in your past. But for my UK viewers, I'm Dear X, you don't own me. Okay.
Dear pain, oh, it's been a long time. Remember when you were holding me tight? I would stay awake with you all night. Dear shame, I was safe in your arms. You were there when it all fell apart. I would get so lost in your beautiful eyes. I let you go, but you're still chasing. Go ahead, you're never gonna take me. You can bend, but you're never gonna break me. I was yours, I'm not yours anymore. Oh, you don't own me.
Keep going.
That's it. Dear head, I know you're not far. You would wait at the door of my heart. I was amazed at the passion in your cries. Dear anger, you made me so high. You were faithful to show up on time. Such a flame that was burning in your eyes. But I let you go. But you're still chasing. Go ahead, you're never that we had together was a lie. Go ahead, you're never gonna take me. You can bend, but you're never gonna break me. I was yours, I'm not yours anymore. Oh, you don't own me. Go ahead, put a target on my forehead. You can fight, but you got no bullets. I was yours, I'm not yours anymore. Oh, you don't own me. Go ahead, put a target on my forehead. You can fight, but I'm following those signs.
Okay, sorry.
Got no bullets. I was yours, I'm not yours anymore. Oh, you don't own me.
That's
Close
good.
enough.
No, it's great.
Close
It's
enough.
really good.
Leah literally just decided to practice those songs out of the blue last night for the first time. So, and I didn't practice with her. They're just songs that we both love. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm glad that you guys were able to be here with us today. Thank you for joining us for our European and UK news. As always, we go live every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and every Sunday at 1 p.m. roughly Eastern Standard Time. Like today we were late, but fashionably so. If you want to send us your letters, you can. P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. If you do send us letters, we will read them on air. So, unless otherwise noted. We love you. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. Come back tonight, 7 p.m., 7:30-ish Eastern Standard Time. I will be here and we're going to stream Eric Mathis' sermon. You do not want to miss this. I'm really, really excited about it. So, we love you guys.
We love you. God loves you. Thanks for being here, guys.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
I was cold.